legends, I hope you're all fantastic. It is time for another installment of Friday Q&A. We're getting close to nearly 150 Q&A episodes. I can't believe I've been doing this for so long. It would not be possible without all of you though. So if you have a question you would like me to answer on next week's Q&A, put them in the comment section below. A massive thank you to everybody who has subscribed, supported me directly via my Patreon or by buying some of my music that I make with Ragdoll. All of that is linked in the video description. If you also check the video description, you can get yourself some free cabinet IRs and you can sign up to my Discord server. A few quick little shout outs before we get into the questions. Big shout out to my buddy David Shankle. David, I'm wishing you a very speedy recovery and thank you so much for the hot sauce. As you can see, it went straight into me on all my breakfast tacos. David's also a phenomenal shredder as well. So shout out to David. A big thank you to Bare Bones for sending me out a few of these awesome straps. I mean, I just love this design. You'll probably see this one on a lot of my guitars on videos. They're an Australian-based company. I'm always happy to help out Aussie-based companies. They also make a whole range of straps and wallets, and a big thank you to a longtime supporter of the channel, the Home Musician. They make the Stompbox buddies that you see on all my Fractal devices, and I just got a bunch of new ones that I've stuck on my FM9. If you follow my Instagram, you would have seen them on there. And again, a massive thank you to all of you for asking questions, and that's what we're here to do, answer questions. Let's get into them. Behind last week's thumbnail image, the Halloween photo, and what did I get up to for Halloween? So that's not actually a photo of me from my black metal band days with an actual Elvira. That's my wife dressed up as Elvira. That's one of the amazing kind of costumes, cosplay style things that she does. And that was me with just some kind of corpse paint because, you know, got to keep it brutal. For Halloween, this year for Halloween, I went as Jason Voorhees, and my wife did the best Catwoman, the Michelle Pfeiffer one, which looked pretty amazing. And I put some photos up on my Instagram of all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's fun to dress up. It's fun to go out. We went and saw the Addams Family movie from 1991. A local theater was showing it, and played some old school arcade games and got dressed up. So yeah, it was fun. I hope you all had a fantastic Halloween as well. Feel free to let me know what you all did for Halloween, what you dressed up as, what you got up to. I would love to hear from all of you. Have I tried the Digitech Freakout, and what do I think about it, especially seeing as I'm somebody who uses a digital modeling rig and in-ears live? I still haven't tried one. I hadn't tried their drop pedal out before, and a fantastic viewer on the channel lent me their drop pedal, and I was really impressed with that. So I would kind of expect no less from the Freakout pedal. I've watched a bunch of videos with it, and it sounds pretty amazing at what it does. So if you would all like me to demo a Freakout pedal, let me know, and I will do my best to get my hands on one and run it through the Axe Effects and have a bunch of fun. Do I prefer the FM9 or the Axe Effects 3 for playing live? I'm using the FM9 Live at the moment, and I have to say it kind of sits in that Goldilocks zone where I've gigged the FM3, the FM9, and the Axe Effects 3, and especially for doing Ragdoll shows, the FM9 is just right because I can have like the 5 or 6 scenes that I need. I can have tap tempo, I can have like a boost function and a few other little switches on there right in front of me. I don't have to change layouts. It's kind of idiot proof, and I am a massive idiot when I play music live. So just having everything, what you see is what you get, is really handy. Having said that, I do love how compact and portable the FM3 is, and I actually did a gig earlier on the week for Melbourne Cup here in Australia on Tuesday, and I just took the FM3 to that because I needed like 4 sounds for that, and that was absolutely perfect, and just slightly less to load in. The big Axe Effects is amazing, but it's kind of mounted to my studio desk at the moment, and that's what you're hearing in all the demo videos on the channel at the moment. So they each feel a little ecological niche for me, but I think the FM9 is, it really is the Goldilocks one. It is just right. Advice for people who want to write their own music. I'm going to paraphrase one of my favorite players of all time here, Michael Romeo from Symphony X. Years ago, I read an interview with Michael where they said, how do you go about writing this music? Symphony X makes really kind of complex progressive music. How do you do it? And my recollection of their answer was something along the lines of think of it like catching fish. If you want to catch a fish, you have to get up early in the morning, you have to get your fishing rod or your net, and you have to go down to the water and you have to cast a line. You're not guaranteed to catch any fish, but you are doing a whole lot better than the person who is still tucked up in bed just going, I wish I could catch some fish. So what I've found is just making the time during the day to sit down and say, I'm going to write something, means that I'm more likely to write something than if I don't. And that little habit of, take 15 minutes from your daily practice session and just sit down, and if you don't have any ideas, just take an idea and develop it and think about how you can play with all the aspects of what make it music. You can play around with the tempo, the time signature, the dynamics, the phrasing. You can omit notes, you can add notes, you can change chords. You can do all that kind of stuff just as an exercise, and eventually what I found is you'll start to be kind of coming up with your own ideas. And also, don't be afraid of singing, even if it's only to yourself, even if you only sing in the shower. I find that's a really great way to play around with musical ideas. So yeah, I think you just kind of have to sit down, and sometimes it's a little bit of a battle of will. You can't just wait for inspiration to rain down. You have to be prepared. And if you are inspired, then you'll be prepared and you'll be able to make those kind of inspirational little melodies and riffs stick. What do I think of Dream Theater? This is a really, really easy question for me because I love Dream Theater. I think maybe the second or third album I ever bought was Scenes from a Memory, and that blew my mind. John is one of those players to me where he kind of takes all the aspects I like of all my favorite players and he incorporates them into his own style. You can hear the Al Di Meola intense alternate picking thing. You can hear the Steve Morse influence in there. You can hear the Satriani and Vi influence. You can hear the Alex Lifeson and Ty Tabor. You can, on the newer stuff, you can kind of hear the Meshuggah influence on there. You can hear the Vi influence on there. But John has done so well in taking all those things and really making them his own. And Images and Words is a desert island disc for me. Scenes from a Memory is fantastic. The new one has some really, really cool moments on it. Like anything with Dream Theater, they're slow burn records. It's something where you can just really get a lot of satisfaction out of listening to them over and over again. And they're definitely one of those bands where I like more of their back catalog than I dislike it. There's definitely some albums that are just not for me. I think the entire band maybe is just not for some people, but for the things that I like, Dream Theater do it very, very well. And getting into Dream Theater led me to get into a bunch of other bands who are now some of my favorite bands. For example, like Symphony X. I was talking about Michael Romeo before, and they also kind of led me to get into some older prog stuff as well. I was a big Rush fan around the time I got into Dream Theater, but listening to Dream Theater also made me want to go and listen to bands like Yes and Genesis and Camel as well. So yeah, look, I love John. I love Dream Theater. They are just one of those bands. They kind of feel like the state-of-the-art rock, metal, progressive band of this entire generation. Actually, probably a few generations now. What is my dream jam session? If I could sit down with any musicians and just have a jam, who would it be? And I feel like I was asked this question on a podcast that I did, on the Guitar Hour podcast. Shout out to Tom and Jake and Dave and Dan and everybody over there. Great podcast, by the way. And my answer at the time was, I reckon if I could just be Robin Trower in his band when they did Bridge of Sighs. That's pretty much my dream format. 3-piece, great singing bass player, really funky drummer. You know, if I had Robin's rig with the huge Marshalls and the Univibe and the Strat, I definitely wouldn't sound like him. I'd probably sound like me, but that just feels like that would be a really fun jam. And Bridge of Sighs, if you haven't sat down and enjoyed that entire album in one sitting, you really, really should do it. So yeah, that would be one. Obviously, like being Ty Tabor in King's X, I reckon would kind of be fun. Or maybe being Alex Lifeson in Rush, that would be another dream jam. All 3-piece bands. Otherwise, I reckon it would be awesome to be in like just kind of the backing band for, I don't know, somebody like Rihanna, like the way Nuno did that gig, where you just kind of hang out. You're not the main person anyone's there to see. You can just kind of play some funky parts and just sit back, and then every now and then just bust out some string skipping and some sweep picking and be awesome. But that's because Nuno is awesome. I'm definitely not that awesome. So that would be another kind of dream jam, one of those like just, you know, high-end pop bands as well. Will we get some behind the scenes ragdoll footage of some recording? There's already some stuff up of stuff we've done like Follow the Leader and Rust, but I've actually been going through our kind of video archives and I found a bunch of stuff from when we did our All I Want EP back in 2013 and the like subsequent 10-week US tour we did. I've actually already put that up on my Patreon for all the patrons to see. So if you're interested in seeing that early, you can go and sign up to my Patreon. It's linked in the video description. Otherwise, that one will probably be up towards the middle or the end of this month. And I think you'll all enjoy seeing a much younger, less hairy, pre-YouTube Leon, put it that way. Do I think that working out can have an adverse effect on your guitar playing? Because there's definitely been some guitar players who, you know, they get super jacked and that just happens to coincide with, you know, some phase in their career where maybe you don't like the material that they're putting out. And is that a case of correlation or is it a case of one thing causing the other? I think it's pretty obvious if you look at someone like, I don't know, Zakk Wylde, that you can be massive, or you look at John Petrucci, you can be absolutely jacked and still have your chops. I think it's probably a case where if you've only got an hour in the day and it's a choice between practicing for an hour and going to the gym for an hour, then that's going to adversely affect one or the other. I think like a lot of things, it's probably balance and it probably doesn't have too much to do with it. And like guitar, if you're using incorrect technique in the gym, you run the risk of injuring yourself and having those injuries flow on to everything else. And as the saying goes, you know, the best way to kill your gains is to get injured. So yeah, I think if you are somebody who's going to the gym a lot and you want to make sure you're maintaining your guitar chops, just make sure you find some time to play your guitar and the chops will probably take care of themselves. Have I ever seen fellow Aussie YouTuber Brett Burgs Kingman play a gig? I was really lucky right before the whole COVID lockdowns came in. We were touring the East Coast and I was staying with a songwriting client that I have and they live like 5 minutes from Brett. So I actually got to go over to Brett's for an hour and hang out and we had a coffee together. Burgs makes a mean mocha pot, hot tip, and we just kind of hung out. I played a few of his guitars and we just chatted about general stuff and that was really, really lovely. Brett has been a massive help to me over the journey, somebody I've been able to chat to and ask for advice, and somebody who I just really admire the way they go about making what we would now call content. You know, Brett was like really on the cutting edge of guitar YouTube and guitar gear reviews. And if you make gear reviews, you definitely owe the fact that gear reviews are a thing partially to Brett. It's probably like Brett and Andy from Reverb or Andy from Pro Guitar Shop. They're like the dudes who kind of started this whole thing. So I've been lucky enough to see Brett play with James Rain as well. I was doing a support gig. I was playing guitar for one of my friends who opened for James and a bunch of other bands. And it was really, really cool to just see Brett play all those classic songs. If you're an Aussie, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not an Aussie, you should definitely go and check out some of James Rain's solo stuff, and also just his entire back catalogue. I don't know who you would describe James as, maybe like the Australian Sting or something like that. But yeah, I remember seeing that, and Brett's tone was amazing. And this was years before I was doing YouTube, and I got chatting to them. I was like, oh, you must be using, you know, all the pedals you demo and stuff like that. And I think it must have been just before Brett went full Fractal, because he was like, no, I just have a Line 6 multi-effects and my telly, and we use backline, and it sounded so good. And that was definitely an influential gig for me to see, where it was just somebody getting it done with whatever's kicking around. And yeah, Brett is every bit as fantastic a dude as you would think if you watch their videos. So shout out to Burgs. And if you're not subscribed to Brett Kingman on YouTube, go and do it. That brings us to the end for this week's questions. As always, if you would like me to answer a question, put it in the comment section below and I will get to it next week. If you want to support the channel, there's links in the video description. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, be good to one another, and I'll see you all next time.